Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5 to take a look at another brand new addition to the game, which is this Lamborghini Huracan STO. To obtain this car you must get 20 points in the Summer Festival playlist, which as you can see I've done here by doing the trial, the event lab stuff, a couple of the PR stunts, photo challenge, and of course the two rivals things. There are actually 4 new cars again this update, which is brilliant to see. It's the STO this week, then there's the 935 in autumn, the RS6 in winter, and the Mission R in spring, with the secondary prizes all being returning vehicles, as are both of the series prizes. So, as a slight change from normal, the actual first footage you're seeing here is of me driving this car in Rivals as the first thing I did in this playlist, before obviously obtaining it later down the line when I'd got enough points for it. So these are my kind of first impressions of driving it. Oh, what is that? Oh, that's the broken gears, isn't it? Yeah, that's a thing. Feels alright so far. I love the colour scheme. This is one of the few Huracans I actually quite like. Can we go flat run? Okay, the grip is pretty incredible. You can actually... I kind of feel like I can tell it's lighter than the other ones, because of course this one's rear-wheel drive. I think we might have to use this in our Doge Racing series at some point. Yeah, I have to say that feels pretty good from my limited understanding of how cars handle in Forza games. So, as some of you may be aware by now, I'm not the greatest fan of the Lamborghini Huracan as a model. I think it's quite a boring supercar, especially the original base car. This one though is quite a bit different. It has mad aero, two-tone colour scheme, and has been changed to rear-wheel drive, making it in theory quite the track weapon as well. There are of course now many Huracans in Forza Horizon 5, so let's briefly compare it to those, starting way back with the original one. All of the cars share the same 5.2-litre V10 engine and are similar in a lot of ways, but have been improved somewhat over the years. We have the original boring Huracan, the vanilla Huracan if you like, that was actually Forza Horizon 2's cover car way back in 2014, when it was still quite a new model. That car puts out 602 horsepower, weighs 1,552 kilos, and goes on to a top speed of 217 miles per hour, here in Forza Horizon 5 at least, with an overall performance rating of S1838. Then Lamborghini made the Performante in 2018, which as the name would suggest was essentially the performance version of that original car. The engine was reworked to put out an increased 630 horsepower, up from that original 602, and weight was brought down to 1,512 kilos. There were also many aerodynamics added, so that Lamborghini could briefly hold the Nürburgring record with it, in fact. All of those downforces, though, did mean that despite the extra power and reduced weight, in Forza at least, it only reaches 213 miles per hour, but is rated at S1874 because of the increased handling. In 2020, the Huracan Evo was released to replace the original base model, which was the previous Huracan that we got in this game as part of Car Pass, I believe. That one was fitted with the same 630 horsepower engine from the Performante, though, the uprated V10, but did weigh the same 1,552 kilos of the original car. Somehow, though, that one only reaches 208 miles per hour, making it the slowest Huracan to date in terms of top speed at the time it was added. Despite this, the Evo sits at S1851 from stock. I think it must have more downforce than the original standard car, with its new front and rear design, but none of the weight advantages from the Performante, which was obviously quite a bit lighter, so maybe that explains it. Anyway, finally onto the most important one, the one we're here to look at today, the Huracan STO, which stands for Super Trofeo Omologato, roughly translating to Road Homologated Super Trofeo car, which is of course Lamborghini's racing version of the Huracan, so think racing car road legalified, essentially, is what this is, racing car with number plates. Anyway, it also has the uprated 630 horsepower V10, but being rear-wheel drive is quite a lot lighter, down to 1,469 kilos, the first one to be sub 1,500. To be honest though, I would have hoped for a little bit more of an overall weight saving from the rear-wheel drive conversion and, well, all the other efforts they've made to make it lighter. It does though also have even more extreme aero than the Performante did, so will be an absolute track weapon, I think. And as I discovered when I first drove it, you can actually still tell it's lighter and more nimble straight away, with extra downforce. It just feels like it turns in better. Obviously it has better front end, but also better downforce, and it did feel lighter, despite not being loads of weight saving. All of this aero and downforce, though, does seem to limit its top speed somewhat. It's actually the slowest Huracan in this department, only reaching 202 miles per hour. But this doesn't really matter, it's about lap times and track performance more than previous models. And it looks crazy whilst doing any of those things, whereas previously I don't think previous Huracans have looked wild enough to be true Lamborghinis. I think this really does what Lamborghini were aiming to do with it, and looks more like a proper Lamborghini. That's why I rather like this Huracan, whereas I haven't really liked previous ones. It just feels much less bland than those. It's available in several rather nice manufacturer colour schemes. We've got this blue and orange, we've got the green and orange, we've got the kind of stealthy khaki green colour, we've got the red and white matte, we've got the grey matte with the yellow accents, and the white with the blue accents, all of which look really, really good, I think. But if you don't want any of the colours that are available, it has also got painting groups. So, for example, if we paint it a bright... What colour is there not an example of? If we paint it pink, let's say, and then go to group 2, you can see that group 2 is this other bit, if we want to do that in blue, say. And then group 3 is slightly less obvious, but it's this little sort of black accent at the side, which in most colour schemes is just done in the black to kind of separate the two colours out there and kind of make it more aggressive along the side there. So I think that does work best in black, but to give you an idea of which bit that is, there is in another colour for you. So yeah, that's what the paint groups are like. So I think we should have a bit of a play around with the colours and maybe end up recreating a certain particularly famous one of these. And just like that, we skip ahead to after I've spent rather too long trying to replicate the colour. I'm not sure it's quite perfect, but I actually really like how it's turned out. I don't necessarily want it to be accurate, I just think it looks really cool. And actually playing about with the colours on here, I decided the white accents did look better than the yellow. I will just show you, just for the sake of argument, what yellow looks like on here. I think it looks better with the white. Obviously I've done the wheels white as well, so if we were to put those back in black, to quote a famous rock band, that's more like what it would look like in that colour scheme, but I think I prefer the purple and white. In terms of upgrades and customization, there's nothing that interesting, but there are a couple of things to note. For example, in aero, there is your usual front aero, which I don't know why you would do that, it looks horrendous. Anybody who's done that, please uninstall your game immediately. And what I rather like is that there's no Forza rear aero option, so you can't ruin the back of this car. What would have been cool, that a couple of people suggested on stream actually, is that these kind of cars that come with a wing from factory should have a wing delete option, because I think this would look rather cool with just the fin actually, but I'm glad to see that there's no Forza aero available for this car. There are some engine swaps. There's a 6.5 litre V12 and a racing V12 if you want to ruin your car. There's an all-wheel drive swap if you want to bring the weight back up to that of some other Huracans. And there's a twin-turbo and supercharger option. So if you really wanted to, I'm not going to do this because it's horrendous, you could give your STO anti-lag. But I feel like we've all grown out of that feature already. I mean, the novelty of it's kind of worn off. So I'm not going to do that, but that is an option, as are all of your usual engine upgrades in here, your usual brakes, suspension, off-road and drift, so interestingly it thinks it's already on race, all your usual kind of handling upgrades, gearbox and drivetrain upgrades, there's your usual track width, tyre size and change of wheels, but I don't really want to change any of that. So after a few of us had won the Lamborghini Huracan STO on stream earlier, we decided to take all of our new acquisitions for a quick 10-lap race around the new oval track in the stadium to get a kind of first impression of what the cars were like to drive, as well as our first kind of race around the new track in the stadium. We've got Team Blue and Orange, got Team Blue and White, Team Purple and White. Wow!
Ow, no. I need a break. I would have brought a V6.
Sorry, Super Tree.
Okay, maybe an automatic transmission is not that good.
Oh god, I've hit a wall. This is what we just did, it didn't actually take very long. At some point there's a flyby from some aeroplanes as well, which is pretty cool.
100.
There they go. Incredible.
Man,
if you get the line right in this car, you don't have to brake.
I'm really
I think Super Tree's won it again. Super Tree is best NASCAR driver. After racing the car stock, I then went and applied this K1Z Bard tune for S1 class before taking it into some Horizon Open. As you can see, this has been put onto rally tyres, which is kind of an interesting choice. I think it's more PI efficient. Basically, it drops the car, allowing you to get more power in, which is why this is up to 734 horsepower, with an improved top speed as well. As you can see, though, it has been all-wheel drive converted, kind of making it more like any other Huracan, which I think is kind of a shame, but it should make it more raceable, I think. So, whilst I was waiting for the races to start up, I did have a few minutes to drive the car with the new tune before I got in, but I didn't really test it other than that. But first of all, I noticed the reduction of grip from the rally tyres, obviously, and then I just spent a bit of time trying to get used to that before the races. But I don't think I was quite there when I joined in time, conveniently, for the first race of an adventure around Bahia de Plano. Anyway, I stupidly managed to miss a checkpoint and then somehow caught back up, and took 2 places on the run to the line, which was slightly scary. I thought I was going to miss a checkpoint there. There was a bit of bumping, but anyway, the car felt fast when I had managed to control it at least, but quite difficult to balance through the corner, I think, with the reduced grip from those rally tyres, although the all-wheel drive probably did help a little bit with that. But somehow it didn't feel really too heavy. I mean, it's still lighter than the car was before the tune was applied, even with the all-wheel drive system put back in. Anyway, the car felt good around there, so we moved on to the next race around the Lookout Circuit, which is a track I rather like and usually do pretty well at. And I also had a great grid spot and soon found myself in the lead of that race, but there was a terrifyingly large pack of cars behind pushing me for a bit of the first lap, so I didn't think I was going to hold that. But somehow I got clear. I think some of the cars bumping behind might not have come away from that too well, but I don't think I did anything too... I defended, I don't think I really blocked them too much. But yeah, I somehow did manage to get clear and managed to hold the lead till the end of the race, taking 1 victory in the Huracan. And then finally we moved on to the Junas Blancas sprint, where I hoped to repeat what had happened in that previous race, but that didn't really go at all well. It was a great chance, though, to see the slightly changed route with the removed festival site, which Forza have removed as it previously only showed if you would unlock the outpost, giving those who hadn't unlocked it yet a small, but still an advantage over the rest of us. However, I somehow managed to forget to brake for the corner after that, having taken a wider swing where the festival would have been before, which was kind of a shame to end like that, but we had 1 victory in that race around Lookout Circuit in the middle, so overall I think the tune's pretty good, and with some getting used to, I think it could be quite fast in S1 class. So there we go, that is going to do it for a very first look at the Lamborghini Huracan STO here on Forza Horizon 5. It's great to have a Huracan that I actually think is quite interesting and exciting in the game, partly because it looks mad like this, partly because it's rear-wheel drive, making it a bit crazier to drive and lighter and more track focused. Yes, it has a slightly lower top speed, but it is great to see this added, particularly as it was a highly requested vehicle, which Forza seem to be adding a lot of lately, so let's hope that trend continues. stock, it's a lot of fun to drive. We had a great race around the new oval track in it, which, by the way, is quite fun, but it is a little bit small, the oval track, I think. And with an S1 class Bard tune, it did pretty well online, giving me 1 victory out of the 3 races. Potentially, with a bit more getting used to, it could be quite competitive, I think, in S1 class. That, though, is going to do it for a very first look at this car. Do let me know what you think of it, and what you think of Series 20 as a whole so far. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.